The red-headed, forgotten and unloved stepchild of the currently ongoing battle of the television titans is Andor, a supposed big-name property that nobody could care less about, it seems. Which, considering the competition, is a nearly unique, tragic thing, isn't it? As the titans to which we refer are the Rings of Power, one of the top 10 worst television shows in history, and Secret Foot Fetishism, the movie House of the Dragon. Hell, I am pretty sure that in terms of raw coverage, She-Hulk has received more attention than Andor has. For all of their own reasons, true, but still. I don't know whether to laugh or cry at that really, but here we are. And now that we have some semi-reliable ratings numbers, for streaming at least, we can confirm it yet again, as Andor isn't even in the top 10. It is actually noteworthy what Disney has managed to do here, what they have achieved with Star Wars. As when you think about it, Star Wars has been an unbelievably resilient franchise, particularly when it comes to its monetization and its earning potential. The prequels, most people agreed that they certainly weren't all that hot shit. In fact, many complained that they were awful for the time. They still earned money to the point that Disney was willing to purchase the franchise for a truly ludicrous amount of cash. After which, they proceeded to make the Cardboard Box That Speaks trilogy, which had many people look back at the prequels and go, perhaps we judged you too harshly. And yes, it's true, they did. And yet even so, the Cardboard Box That Speaks still made a profit. At the very least at the box office. The merchandise sales, as we all know by now, were abysmal, but oh well. At least it's a win, right? And after that, Disney has done everything in their power to further monetize the franchise by pumping out several little spin-off series: The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan goddamn Kenobi, and most of them still did at least alright ratings-wise, even though some of these were legendary turds. The Book of Boba Fett is awful television, and Obi-Wan Kenobi is nothing short of an insult to the character, and yet it still did alright. Like, you could stamp Star Wars on a turd by the wayside, and it would be worth millions the next day, and yet now Andor has finally managed to hammer the last nail into the Star Wars streaming coffin. And you know what? For one of its many, many flaws, Andor is certainly better than the Rings of Power and She-Hulk. And I would probably put it roundabout on par with House of the Dragon, at least as subterranean praise as that is in my view, and probably above it. But the key and core flaw of Andor, ironically enough, one purposefully engineered, is that it's not Star Wars. Derp. And the events surrounding the titular main character, Cassian Andor, are just straight up boring, trite, cliched, and uninteresting, for the truly astonishingly simple reason that we know he will be fine. We know Andor will not die, or be hurt, or even be seriously inconvenienced or abused, because he shows up hale and hearty in a damn movie later on. Now, to be fair to the writer, it is very hard to introduce a sense of suspense in a prequel with known characters, but the incompetent bastard is also being paid millions of Mickey Mouse dollars, so, second thoughts, screw him. Especially as he took on a Star Wars project with no intention of making it Star Wars, which incidentally returns me to a previous point, the fact that Andor was never intended to be a Star Wars story in the first place. The director has stated as much on several occasions, and this was, again, intentional, as it was supposed to be Disney's fix to the Star Wars fatigue. And it kind of makes sense, in a feverish delusion kind of way. How do we make people who are sick of random Star Wars spin-offs watch more random Star Wars spin-offs? Oh, I know. Make it a not Star Wars spin-off. Brilliant. As Andor shown, it wasn't actually such a brilliant idea, as it just meant that the people who would have watched it anyways because it was Star Wars took one look at it and decided, well, it's not Star Wars, and so turned off the television, or in this case, the streaming service. I will still say, though, there is a grain of truth in the pox-plagued visions of the Disney staffer. Star Wars fatigue is real, most assuredly so, and whilst curing it by making good Star Wars rather than the character assassination that was Obi-Wan Kenobi would go a long way to fix it, that is beyond Disney's capabilities. And so making Star Wars that is not Star Wars is not a bad idea, but it must be done far better than this. For example, and I'm going to have to do a proper video on this when Andor is actually done and finished so I can fully, look at what they do with it, but the parts I actually genuinely enjoy about Andor have nothing to do with Andor. The show's best parts are showing civilian life in the Empire, the cloak and dagger of forming the resistance, and the behind-the-scenes movements, and the Imperium's response that is a delightfully civilized and yet also pointed conversation in the Security Council in Episode 7 that actually had me genuinely invested there for a second, and I wish there was more of it. One of my favorite shows is an older show at this point called The Newsroom. It doesn't have a whole lot of drama, it doesn't have a lot of intrigue, it does have some of course, but the primary focus of the show is highly educated and incredibly well-spoken people having pithy and interesting conversations with good quips and comebacks and lots of, well, just good vocal flow. It feels good just to watch these characters talk, as the dialogue is written beautifully and performed exquisitely, and for a moment there, I had an actual genuine flashback to that. The captain of the Security Council in particular is absolutely perfect for the role, and I wish the show was focused around the Security Council rather than goddamn Andor. Stellan Skarsgård as well does a fantastic job in this show as the shadowy behind-the-scenes resistance leader. He makes you feel his emotional roller coaster as he's on the brink. Like, at any moment, stormtroopers could bust down his door and shoot his ass, or worse yet, drag him away for torture and interrogation. As he is on Coruscant, he is as deep inside of the enemy's heart as possible as he is carrying out this resistance movement that is now just barely starting to have legs of its own. It is good goddamn stuff, and then off we are to the mountains again with Cassian Andor, carrying out some uninteresting heist which we know exactly how is going to end. There are some problems with the intrigue as well. The Mon Mothma character is just painful because she is such a modern year character. My husband isn't supportive enough. Oh, my teenage daughter is being a teenager. My heavens, it is hard to be a woman. And it is particularly jarring as we go again from that excellent security conference over to teenage daughter being teenage. Like, Mom, you're cramping my style. Like, shoot me. No, shoot the daughter and get back to the interesting shit again. Like, Andor gives me whiplash. It seriously does, because certain scenes are good. The intrigue, the spying, the Empire. But I love the security officer guy. He's just a regular dude who gets screwed over by Cassian Andor, and then has to deal with his overbearing mother, has to deal with staring down the barrel of an awful, terrible, uninteresting job, etc. There is so many cool things, and then off you are to the teenage daughter, or off you are to Andor having some drama with his other half-assed rebels who you don't care about because they're cannon fodder. They are there to die, and they wear those flags proudly. It annoys me. Greatly so. And frankly, Andor deserves its current streaming numbers because those scenes I gush about, they're probably a percentage of the show. Like, percentage. If we are lucky. They are few and far between and rarer than chicken's teeth, as the vast majority is just boring, uninteresting, and frankly, again, poorly done spying stuff because you know what's going to happen. It is written large on the wall. There is no Ocean's 11 suspense here. There are no twists and turns. It happens exactly as you would expect it to happen, and you just tune the hell out. And that is if you manage to get it past the first double episode release thing, which was nothing but that. Here's the thing. And this is a lesson that Disney does need to learn as well. When you're doing anything, you've got to hook people in with your best parts, not bury them in episode 7. That's rather important. Oh, God. I am very happy. I am very happy that Star Wars is, well, Disney Wars, more correctly, is receiving the pounding that it so thoroughly deserves. And I hope Ahsoka is an even bigger flop, which it probably will be. My God, the woman they've got playing Ahsoka just does not goddamn work, but oh well, details. That's a story for another time. I'm definitely going to do a thing on Andor, because again, it is worth talking about for the excellent elements. And if they had just put a blaster bolt in Andor's skull in the first 5 minutes of the show, you probably would have been rather excellent, frankly. Oh well. The death of Disney Wars is nothing to be lamented, and maybe after they've sold it off to whomever for 5 cents in 20 years' time, we can actually have that Imperial story. Wouldn't that be lovely? Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for listening, and I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.